Welcome, everyone, to episode 3 of the What Sales and Marketing Got to Do with podcast. My name is Gemma Adair, founder and principal marketing consultant of Riata Consultancy. This podcast aims to delve deep into the minds of sales and marketing leaders, uncovering what keeps them up at night, what drives their passion, and how they execute successful strategies in both their personal and professional lives. Delighted to have Mark Hassell, co-owner of Base Gym, dedicated to helping people build the body and the life they want, transform your fitness, move well, look good, and live strong. Great to have you, Mark, on the podcast with me today.
Thanks for having me. It's good.
Awesome. What's your morning been like?
So I started off, originally my morning was supposed to be over the client at 6 a.m. But that changed. Had a message at 4:30 this morning to say that they couldn't attend the session. So instead of them training, I messaged them back and said, "Don't worry, I'll train." So I trained at 6 a.m., went to the gym, went to my gym and did my session, which was scheduled for this evening, but I did it this morning. So I'm ready to go. I can do some more work now. I've got my coffee, I've got my protein shake, and then I'm at my sister's house at the moment, so I'll make some eggs and stuff before she heads out for her day. Yeah, and then I'll be working for the rest of the day on my laptop. So yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned, you did a workout and so on. Please introduce yourself and what you do, please.
Okay, yes. So I'm co-owner of a gym, a Base Gym in Bracknell in Berkshire, and so what we do there is functional fitness training for sort of like general population, as well as specialist training, performance related. So it's helping athletes take a step further in their careers or improve either movement or their nutrition. So it's a very much focused around group training environment, which allows people to engage with each other and motivate each other. So we've got a really good community at the gym, and as well as we have a personal training product as well. So we work individually with people and their goals, alongside nutrition as well. And that's essentially what I do. I've been doing that now for a couple of years. Sort of after sort of post-pandemic, I always knew that I wanted to get into gym ownership. That was like the next step in my career as a personal trainer, fitness coach. I always wanted the next best thing, and build my own community, which is what I'm doing now.
That's amazing. And I think we will kind of explore a bit more on what you do in a bit more detail sort of later. What a transition, right? From the corporate world, in sort of document solutions and in tech and things like that. Like, tell us more about that, from corporate world into being, the co-owner of a gym.
So yeah, gosh, that takes me back to 2010, when I graduated from university. So I went to university quite late. What's that? Late, 4 years late. So I was 21 when I started university. I did a degree that I was interested in reading about. That was a criminology degree, so very much focused around reading into psychology, into sociology, understanding humans, how they think, why they do what they do within a criminal domain. That was fascinating. Loved every minute of that degree. Certainly in my third year, where I really got my head into the books. So always fascinated by people, and obviously in that case it is more sort of criminal based. So I thought initially then I was be going into sort of intelligence or into the criminal justice sector in some way. But at the time there was a lot of cuts going on in the government, so I ended up going into the corporate world instead. And working in an IT sales role, so in a graduate scheme, which which was a lot high energy, and required me to make 110 phone calls a day, to talk off a hymn sheet, and took me well away from sort of the creative aspect or the critical analyzing aspect of my degree. But obviously I learned a lot in terms of how to sell, how to understand people. I had an understanding of people. Yeah. And so 2010 to 2016, I spent 6 years in the corporate world, building myself up to be a salesperson, account manager. I was okay at it. I wasn't the best. I wasn't the worst. I was very good at building relationships. Um, I wasn't the best salesperson, but I knew the relationships I had definitely helped in win a lot of business deals. And yes, I really enjoyed it. But it wasn't fulfilling me. Doing that 9 to 5 graft. There was nothing in it that was passionate for me. Nothing that really hit my heart. So I knew at some point that I would need to make a transition. Now I've always been involved in sport and fitness, so football, running, triathlons. I've always had my toe dipped into those things. Loved playing football. Part-time football player for some time, and then played for a local team for my sort of the last few years of my career. I stopped when I was 28. And started getting involved in functional fitness in the CrossFit domain, which is the sport of fitness, and that's become very popular in this country and across the world. And it's essentially made me fitter, stronger than I've ever been at the age of 37. But yeah, so I started to get involved in that and realizing that my energy and passion was going into training, and being around other people that had been in sport, having the same sort of mindset, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So 2016, I left the corporate world. I received an email on a Friday night at 5 p.m. I remember I was up in Manchester. Bearing in mind I lived in Reading, and I received a hand-me-down email from my boss, basically scrutinizing not just me but all the other account managers. And that was my kind of tipping point. As I've just worked my ass off. Sorry, can I say that? I've just worked hard. I've been traveling around. I've been trying to win these deals, and we get a shitty hand-me-down email from the directors saying not good enough, which is, it's a sales environment. I get that. But no acknowledgement of the hard work that we'd been doing. And the following Monday, I decided to hand in my notice. A month later, I'd left my job, and I had to figure something out. So I had to rent my house out because I'd bought a house, and I moved back in with my dad. So it was all very drastic. It's not something anyone with a family would be able to do. I was in a position I was able to do it. I didn't have any commitments as such. So I rented my house out and moved back in with my dad, and then spent 3 months reading, journaling, and just having some time to myself to figure out what my next steps were going to be. Which took me into property, because a good friend of mine he's a very successful entrepreneur in property, and he helped me build a lifestyle property business, which funded the next 2 years, in which I then built my fitness credentials in order to move into the fitness world and be a personal trainer, be a fitness coach, have a nutrition arm, and learn. And I'm still learning today. And so, which takes me to that. I started sort of part-time fitness in 2018, and I actually exhausted sort of got rid of the property business. It wasn't serving me. I won't go into that. It was good to have it whilst it was there.
Yeah.
It did make me a lot of money very quickly, with the support of the community in the property world that I was part of. It's very good strategies if you found the right deals. It helped fund essentially what I'm doing today. And what I'm doing today is I'm a full-time fitness coach, personal trainer. I'm very passionate about helping people achieve health and fitness in many different ways. So that's been so for the last 5 years.
Awesome.
So I've built myself up from being a part-time personal trainer to being involved now in owning a gym where I
Wow.
can pull the strings a bit more and influence what the direction of the gym is where it's going. An
Amazing.
exciting thing actually. Yesterday I went to see a new premise with my business
Oh,
partner. So
brilliant.
we're actually in the market for a bigger premise. So that's exciting as
That's
well.
incredible.
Anyway, I feel like I went on forever. Is that
No, no, no,
answer the
not at
question?
all,
Yeah,
not at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Just to like touch upon, just a few things on what you said. Your heart wasn't in it, right? I think that's definitely from what I can pick up on from, your previous sort of corporate role and your
yeah.
career and so on. Do you think your degree gave you a good foundation for the corporate sort of world and sales and stuff? That would be my first question to you. Do you think
Yeah.
that helped because it's you connected with people, you understood people a bit more because you mentioned like sociology or within
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
psychology. Yeah, no, I wouldn't necessarily say direct. I mean, it was indirectly it would have
yeah.
helped. I said the academic study. Um, I think the practice of academic study definitely helped. Being able to sit down at a desk with a laptop and books and to look at things and understand things, having a dictionary ready when you didn't
Yeah.
understand something. Going through that for 3 years definitely helped. Um, when I was in the corporate world, if there wasn't something I understood,
Mm,
I knew that I had to go into a book or a spreadsheet or whatever to find the answer. I think in that capacity, definitely it did help. It also helped the fact I was a bit older going into university. I was
okay.
a bit wiser than a lot of the other students. My third year, I treated as a 9 to 5 job. So, unfortunately, I had a good second year, and apart from I had a massive thing with a USB stick, and I lost loads of work, which was then capped at 40%. So I should have achieved a lot more what I did in the second
Mm,
year, which would have contributed to my final result in the third year, which meant there was a lot of pressure on me in the third year to do even better. So I had to knuckle down. And so what I did, I think the best thing I could have done was treated my study as a 9 to 5. So in the mornings I'd go for a run, and then I would be at the library for 9 o'clock, 9:30 with a coffee, and I would be working until 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, and then no more study after that. And I was going to the gym. I was playing football with a football
nice.
team, um, and yeah, I did it like that. I didn't feel any ounce of pressure in my third year, purely because I felt like I was organised in that way. And I got a 2-1.
Brilliant.
I'd say I'm a non-academic. I'm very much a people person. The fact that I got that, I think, was great. I think it's just down to being organised and just being on the ball a little bit.
Awesome. No, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
And so
Um,
ultimately that learning that process, 9 to 5 process, then going into the corporate world,
corporate
it
world,
was kind of seamless when I got there. I understood you need to get up, have your breakfast, go to work. I
that
was
kind of
ready. I was ready for it. Yeah.
that kind of structure, like you said,
Yeah.
planning, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
which definitely a skill, right? You
Yeah.
have to kind of put that structure in place. You
Yeah.
mentioned earlier about just your experiences with working in sales
Yeah.
in your corporate role.
Yeah.
One of it's kind of two questions really, and it goes back to a question I ask um, guests about what's been their challenges within sales. What do you think could have happened differently um, with when you worked in sales? You mentioned about a manager sent an email and kind of sort of just wasn't very positive,
Yeah.
not very
That's
motivating. that kind of thing?
So my first thought, I'm just because I haven't got any notes for this question. I'm just going based on what I think
Go
and
for
my
it.
experience. So the first thought that came to mind there was when I did direct sales and I was doing door knocking when I was 19. I used
Mm,
to knock on people's doors and face a lot of rejection. So I used to
right.
sell charity subscriptions to people. I did that for 18 months. Um, and the biggest challenge it's just face for me is facing rejection
Mm,
and being conditioned to facing rejection. Um, so that conditioned me quite well going into say corporate. So I stopped that when I was 19, and then I went into another job, and then I went to uni, and then I came out. So when having that experience, and then when you're getting on the phones and you're speaking to
mm,
people, when you're trying to build new business relations and trying to find sales deals when they've got 20 other people trying to do the same thing with them, the expectation is that you're not necessarily going to win the deal, but you've always just got to be positive. And then
yeah.
I quickly found that for me, I did have some success in the sales in the corporate world. And for me, what one thing that really worked for me was just picking up the phone and just talking to people,
Mm,
and not sound like oh, hi there, I work for, reading off a script. And I felt like the aspect of building relationships was the most important thing for a sales job, because they'll recognize the voice, they know that you're friendly,
yeah.
and oh yeah, and they want to do some business as well, rather than going for the ruthless. It did work for some people, they're being quite ruthless in their sales approach. Now you mentioned as well about what about when I received that email. Again, it was an accumulation of just being fed up in
Yeah.
a job that wasn't mentally satisfying. So during the early part of my corporate job, I quickly realised that my brain wasn't being satisfied. I wasn't being satisfied in my job, so I
Mm,
started volunteering at in a drug rehabilitation centre. So in some way linked to my degree, and that was hugely satisfying. So it allowed me then to be this sort of mentor, this go-to person for people in that program. And then when I came to work, I just got on with my job, and I was sort of satisfied. I was satisfied with helping. That was that helped me. So I would say um, finding something else that you enjoy is like for me was really important. Obviously, I did all the sport, the football, and everything like that. That's a physical, but I found that having a mental stimulation was just as important as a physical stimulation. Yeah, so
makes a lot of
does that answer
sense.
the question? Yeah, does
Yeah,
that
yeah,
answer the
definitely,
question? Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
What did you like the most about sales? And you probably touched on it previously, but in a roundabout way, people and things like that. And what did you like about sales, and what did you least like about it?
Uh, I loved the being acknowledged for helping, so providing. So I wouldn't try and recommend throw a product down someone's throat if I didn't think it was going to be useful for their business. So
Yeah.
generally, people who I work with, um, I would talk to them from an honest position as a salesperson to say
Mm,
this is definitely going to work for you. And the feeling when I got a deal, and they enjoyed it, that was a great feeling. So the after sort of sales, when you got acknowledged for your hard work. The thing I probably didn't like about it the most was was the graft of trying to get deals, having your manager on your case, or why haven't you hit
mm.
this number, um, or like just that sort of stuff. Like the pressure of sales.
Yeah.
There's a pressure which you know as a sales company, you've got to have it. But I felt that was I didn't enjoy that
Enjoy it.
pressure. It did get me out my seat, and it did make me work hard. But I wouldn't say I was like, oh yeah, I really thrived that. And it was a sales manager, one of the sales managers. We didn't see eye to eye. No, I think he's a nice enough chap, but I know that we didn't see eye to eye.
Right.
He's like he's like a ruthless salesman, whereas I've got a softer approach, and we were just different people.
Right.
And so when if I ever stood up in the sales meeting presenting, he'd be there, so, like looking at me like, you know, I don't know what was going on in his head, but
More like
it
looking
made me
through
feel
you.
very, yeah, it made me feel very uneasy. Yeah, so
Gotcha.
yeah,
That
yeah,
would be what it was. Did you
mm.
have much interaction with marketing while you were
Yeah, all the time.
in your
Yeah, all the time.
sales role?
Yeah.
Um,
So
I'm a
marketing
firm
campaigns.
believer.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer in the whole sales and marketing alignment and things
yeah.
like that. Tell me what your experience was like working, with marketing, and what's your thoughts on the whole kind of bringing sales and marketing together? And yeah, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do our job properly without our marketing team. We were hugely rely on um, the support from our marketing manager, who would have budgets and would give us a budget for for a sales campaign. So I worked business to business
Mm,
mainly.
yeah,
So I worked with businesses on getting new customers. So sometimes I would be on the phones for them, speaking directly to their customers. But we had to go in with a marketing strategy that aligns to our products. Without that strategy, we would have just been going there with a script, talking what we think would be the right thing to say about our company. But the marketing department were always very up to speed with new ideas on how to market the products using our unique selling points. And the product that we sold was actually quite unique in the market.
brilliant.
And yeah, it definitely helped having their support. And we used to do like loads of incentives as well. So I remember we had an incentive for our business partners to take them on a track day, um, and
Brilliant.
the winner would get a mini. They won a mini at the end of it. So that was pretty cool. But it definitely drew a lot of. It cost a lot of money, but it drew more business in from that, and I thought that was pretty cool as well. So yeah,
Brilliant. No, that's
yeah,
brilliant. No, that's great. I think sales and marketing alignment, making sure that that strategy is aligned is so critical, right?
yeah,
It's
absolutely,
bringing all of those kind of core teams, stakeholders together.
absolutely,
Um,
yeah,
right. So much has changed for you. So many years have gone on. Corporate world is poof, like, you know, past. We're now
yep,
in the present now, and so on. And you've changed your lifestyle completely,
yep.
and now you're the co-owner of a gym. What does the day in the life look like? What's that like, should I say? What does that feel like? Take me through what that looks like right now. So what does a day in the life of Mark look like?
Well, yeah. So if I talk about a busy day of being at
Yeah,
the
go
gym
for it.
with the members, so yeah, it will start. I'll be at the gym at 5:30. So I'm up at 5 with a green tea. So I'll have my green tea, cleanse the body,
Nice.
and then get to the gym, set up, and get ready for the first group session at 6, followed by a group session at 7. And then between 8 and 9, I've got 2 hours either for personal training sessions with people, or a time for me to write down my sort of plan, or write down my thoughts on what I need to do over the next couple of days. So in fact, I've got it here. I've got a uh, time box. I use that. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
So it allows
briefly.
me
Yeah,
to
yeah.
scribble down what's in my brain, have a priority list, and then have like what I'm doing from 5 till 11 at night. So yeah, I like to sort of plan my day around that and make sure I'm getting all the important things done, whether that's customer interactions, getting information to people, arranging times, all that sort of stuff. So all the boring stuff, but I'll always do it with a nice coffee, Gail's coffee in Bracknell. So I'll sit there and have a nice coffee. And then after that, I'd be did another session at 10 o'clock, followed by another session at 11 with. So I work with football academies. So I run a strength and conditioning program for a couple of men's football teams, part-time football teams, and football academies. So they'll come in and they'll have a bespoke program written for them, to help improve their strength, power, speed, all that sort of stuff. So I'll do that at 11, and then 12:15 is like the last sort of morning afternoon session. And then I have some lunch between those times. So I would have had my first breakfast at 8. And then I would have my next meal. Sometimes, depending whether I have a session on at 11, I'd have another meal then as well. So that food is massive part of my day. I've got to have 3,600 calories at the moment a day with the training that I do. But yeah, I finish at 1:30, so I'd have some more. So I would have had 3 meals by this point. And then after that, I've got a 2 o'clock PT session. And then another session at 4, and then I'll train myself at 5:30 with the class. So I train in the gym with the members to get my session in. Yeah, so that's like a busy working day, I would say. Again, part of that will be things that I'm working on the business with. So I'm working very much in the business, but there'll be things that, with alongside my business partner, we'll be working on. That we've just started a mentorship program with a gym company who help with sales strategies, sales funnels for gyms specifically. They specialize in that. So and so we're organizing that. So we've got like different tasks to do each day. So a bit of that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so that's kind of like a typical day. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And for the clients that come to see, to work at the gym, they might do a class, they might, do a personal training session. What are their challenges? Why do they come to see your gym? Like what's going on there? What's their challenges?
Yeah, so there's a lot. Yeah, so we get lots of different types of people. Weight loss is a big. There's a number of people who just want to lose 10 kilos. Certainly post pandemic, with a lot of people put on. Where did this 10 kilos come from? So we go. So we have a lot of people in those in that area. Just people that want to feel good and feel better about themselves as well. So we'll put a marketing campaign via Facebook ads out, and generally the sort of people that we get will be people who are fed up of the gym, the normal regular gym that you just show up to and do your own thing. They're not seeing any results, or they've spent a lot of money. It's too expensive to spend £300-400 a month on personal training. And we're kind of that middle ground where it's just about affordable, but you're getting a lot of value from what we provide. It's you get coached in each session. Typically we'd have someone who comes over from David Lloyd saying, "Yeah, I've been there. It's a nice health club, really nice facilities, but I'm just not seeing any results."
Okay.
The type of money they're spending at David Lloyd would be roughly about the sort of price that our price point at. Obviously, our business model is slightly different in the sense that it's all class based. You show up to a specific time, and you're running through a set program that we do in blocks of 6 weeks. So typically, like I said, we've had people join from David Lloyd. They've been with us for say 3 months, and they would have seen more progress in that 3 months than they've seen in like 7 years being at David Lloyd, just purely because of the structure of the program that we offer.
Okay.
And yeah, so alongside that would be, we would provide them with like toolkits around nutrition. So, because we can train people for an hour a day, and if they've got a weight loss goal, 23 other hours of the day they're at home or they're at work, whatever they're doing. And half the battle is trying to change their habits at home. So that's part of what we have to do. And even so, not even for people that need to lose weight, generally we find that the biggest challenges come from people's eating habits. Even the football players. So I've got at the moment I work with a men's football team, and I'm speaking to a handful of them, getting them to send me their food diaries, and they're complaining about niggles in their back or their knees. And I say, right, Okay, okay, but your movement in the gym is actually pretty good. Send me a food diary, and I'm seeing things like hula hoops, double deckers,
Oh, wow.
a ham sandwich with butter, um,
Good old
you
bread.
know, uh, yeah, very plain, high sugar foods, and I'm going. Your problem isn't your movement. Your problem is what you're fueling yourself with. If you want to
Mm.
see change in your body, you want to build muscle. For someone like a player who's 82 kilos, 6 foot, he's got to be consuming over 200 grams of protein a day. I messaged one of them and I said, "Send me what you've eaten today. I'll send you what I've eaten. I'm not 6 foot. I'm 5'8", and I weigh 74 kilos." And so I compared myself to him. I said, "Look, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've eaten nearly 180 grams of protein, and he's had 40 grams of protein. And this guy's he's an athlete.
Yeah.
He's a training athlete. He trains part time. He trains 3 times a week. He's got two games a week." And I said, "There's your problem. You got back pain. So that's Anyway, without
Yeah. No, no, no.
frustrations
It's
building in
really
my
good.
head
I
just
think
talking about it because I'm trying
I
to get
think
the message in.
there's loads of nuggets there, right? Because you can tell like you're really passionate about what you do, and that's why you're
Yeah,
doing what you do, right? So
yeah.
when someone comes to you and says like, oh, can you solely get to where you need to get to purely on nutrition or purely by just exercise, or what's your thoughts there? What's the do's, the don'ts, the best practices? What's needed?
Gosh, I mean, there's a lot of good information out there, and I think
Mm,
that's part of the problem. You've got
yeah.
you've got a Google search away from best way to lose weight, best way, But I think the reason why nutrition is so hard to conquer for a lot of people, first of all, you've got so much temptation around.
Mm,
It's easy to just grab and go like sandwiches or
exactly.
high,
Yeah.
things with high sugar and things. It it's just finding something that works for you, and a lot of it's trial and error. Sorry, can you repeat the question as well? Sorry,
Yeah, no, no, no,
very
fine.
sorry.
I think for someone that, for some people they say, oh, I'm purely just gonna do the nutrition or the diet or eat healthy, right? I'm
Yeah,
not gonna go to the gym. Or you get some people that are purely, I'm gonna eat what I want, but I'm
yeah,
gonna go to
yeah,
the
yeah,
gym and work
yeah.
out. So what's your thoughts
So
on that?
we have those, those type. We have the people that show up a few times a week, and they're just kind of going through the motions when they're in the gym because they don't really want to be there. Um, and then you've got the other side of it where you've got people, who still go out drinking quite a lot of the weekends. They have a lot of alcohol. They'll always perform terribly at the start of the week, but by the end of the week, while their body's starting to feel back to normal, they'll start to feel better. Um, how do we tackle those people? For me, I have to get to know these people. Um,
Mm,
the success I see with people is people who trust the process and do kind of what we tell them to do. So at the moment we're running a 30-day nutrition sort of challenge,
oh,
and we've got
brilliant.
daily
Yeah,
tasks for each
nice.
day. So we've got say 50 people on that at the gym. I reckon a handful will complete the 30 days. They'll do all the tasks that are given to them on any given day. Um, it's a tough question because
Mm,
uh, I've seen a lot of good results from people who really want to make change.
yeah.
I've had a client who's 5'6", weighed 125 kilos, so morbidly obese. He's now set 80 kilos.
Wow.
He desperately wanted to make change because he went to a theme park once and he got told he couldn't get on a ride because he was too fat. So that's a motivation for him. That's something that's driven within him. Um, then you've got some people who they do need to, they're a bit heavy. They need to lose a little bit of weight, um, but they're kind of like in a nice comfort zone. They're like, they've got a nice sort of like structure at home. They like to sit in comfort. And how do you take people out of that? It's just
Difficult.
Yeah, I'd love to say, oh yeah, there's a magic pill for this. No, it comes down to just discipline ultimately.
Mm,
Um, Wake up when you don't want to wake up.
yeah.
You've got to ingrain it as part of your daily routine, like you brush your teeth. Um, you've got to have breakfast every day, like you brush your teeth. If you want to be fit and healthy, you've got to. The people that go to the gym and still eat crap, they know that their body hasn't changed much because they just see the results on the scales and they see
Mm,
their body composition readings.
yeah.
Um, you know, if they want to make change, they'll make change. It's a really tough one. It's because there's so many
So many
different
different
types of
scenarios.
people. Yeah, there's so many different types
Yeah.
of people that I've worked with. The chap I was speaking about earlier in terms of his weight loss journey, like he was focused and he still is, and he wants to build muscle and
Brilliant.
he's doing that. He wants to change his life. Yeah, it comes down to just hard graft discipline, getting into a routine and telling yourself, this is my life.
Yeah.
Um, just like you go to university, you want to get a good degree. You're like, I want to come out and I want to do well. So you put in
Mm,
the work. You spend each day doing a bit of study. You do what you need to do. I think a lot of people go, from my experience and just sort of reading people, people are just stuck in their comfort zones and they're not trying to grow themselves. They're not learning.
that makes a lot of
Um,
sense.
yeah, that's kind of what I see, but it's
And
a tough one.
how does someone, when someone says, "Oh, I'm just not motivated," or how does someone get motivated, or how does someone, what's the first step? What's the, even if it's a micro step, right? Not macro, micro. Like, what do
Yeah,
they do just to get things in motion? What should they do?
show up.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Show
yeah.
up.
So if in doubt, just show up.
Just show up.
Tell. And I think that's part of building your own support network.
Yeah, it's
We're
important. Yeah.
essentially a support network. Oh, I'm not feeling it today. Shut up. Get yourself in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. You'll
Shut
feel
up.
better afterwards. It's always that. Oh, damn, I'm not feeling it. I'm not. Yeah, yeah. You get a lot of that. Um,
Yeah,
I
because
didn't
we
want to
all
train this
know.
morning. I didn't want to train. We all have those thoughts.
Yes.
Um, this is going to sound very weird, but those thoughts don't serve you or anyone. It's like having negative thoughts. It's about, you know, if you had a negative thought towards someone, if you express that, you're gossiping, and it's just like, why, don't say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like if people say, oh, I'm just not feeling it, don't
That
say it.
kind of self conversation, right? That you're having with yourself, and
Yeah.
you're literally putting that blocker, that barrier up to
Yeah.
you not getting up or kind of showing up
Yeah.
to the
I had it,
gym in this case, or whatever it
but
may be.
yeah, I mean, I had it quite an extreme example recently, for myself personally.
Mm, mm, mm,
I hadn't had much sleep. I've been sleeping quite badly for 5 days. I've been getting, just because of work and a lot of things on
mm,
my mind. I was averaging about 4.5 hours sleep. I did that for 5 days, and I had one run. So I'm on a running program at the moment, 3 times a week. So it's part of my training for my next competition in November. And so it got to a Sunday, my body was exhausted from my training. My mind was exhausted. I was just done, spent. I should have gone to bed. I should have gone to bed. But I knew that in my schedule is
yeah.
this run. I've got 3 sessions a week. I'm working with a running coach. Um, I don't want to let him down. And he's messaging me going, mate, I need to see your stats. Can you get them up on Strava? Make sure you get the run in. And this is like a couple of days before. So I got myself ready on the Sunday. It was like 7 o'clock in the evening. I wanted to go to bed, and then I was pacing around my bedroom because I just didn't want to go. Everything was telling me not to go. And then my mum came in because I'm staying with my mum at the moment. And she said, "Oh, is everything all right, dear?" And I said, "Yeah, mum, I'm just getting myself psyched. I don't want to run, but I've got to do it. I'm all dressed in my kit." It was literally, I was rocking. I was like sitting there rocking forward and backwards. And And she said, Mark, just take a rest day. It's okay. You don't need to go. And thanks, Mum. And went out the door, did the run. Um, you know, I was not born like that. You know, I wasn't like 10 years ago, I wasn't like that. But when, I look at the people around me, whether it's my family who I care about dearly and who I want to support, I've got nephews, I've got a little stepbrother. Um, and it's not to say about showing weakness, but it's about, you know, you just got to show up. And
Mm,
if you're set out to do something, you got to just go and do it. And that's essentially what I'll say to people at the gym. If in doubt, just show up. And even if I'm just going to sit you on a bike over there, you're going to move and you're going to do it for an hour,
yeah,
and they'll feel better. But generally, people just do the session and they're like, "Oh, I feel so much better." Um, it's simple as that. I mean, yeah. That's a long way of
amazing.
putting it, and yeah, but yeah, I hope that answers the question.
No,
Yeah,
it's an incredible what exercise and nutrition can bring, right? Because you kind of you hold it off and you kind of like, it'll wait till tomorrow or next week or a month from now or whatever.
yeah,
But we all live quite hectic lives, right? Whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's just that whole kind of being at work or running your own business or whatever. So
yeah.
it's all very, very relevant. What did you want to do when you grew up? What did you want
So
to do?
you've taken me back to we had a careers day at our primary school. I remember,
Oh, nice.
and I was 10 years old, and I was in a class, and we had to write down what we wanted to be when we were older. So we had to draw pictures as well,
Oh,
and
nice.
one of them was to be a professional football player. The other one was to be an astronaut, as you do when you're that. And the other one was to be a bodybuilder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know why. I have no idea why at that point.
No.
I wasn't
Okay.
necessarily, I didn't know anything about bodybuilding I think I just wanted to be strong. Yeah, that was maybe it. Um,
Nice.
so those are, yeah,
Brilliant. So
those are,
that's what you
yeah, I
wanted
think,
to, three
yeah. So
different, yeah.
yeah, football was always, football was, I played football up until I was 28. There was one point where I thought, yeah, I'm going to make it into professional, but yeah, it didn't happen. I was never going to become an astronaut because I'm not an
Mm,
academic. I did learn how to be an academic, but it is a lot of work. But yeah, I definitely wasn't. Well, I quickly realised I wasn't going to be an astronaut, or when I went to secondary school. And but yeah, just in my 20s and everything, just understanding the gym life and
yeah.
the community. Yeah, that's kind of how I've sort of grown into it.
Perfect. Which leads
Yeah,
me on to my next question. You've touched upon it throughout this
yeah.
conversation. What's your passion in life and what drives you?
Oh God, so the first thing that comes to my head there is legacy. So if I look at all my motivators, when I look at when I'm going through the hardest points, I'm quite proud of my name, my surname,
Yeah.
and the achievements of my great grandfather, my dad, and my uncle, in sport. So my great grandfather was an Olympic swimmer. My uncle was a GB triathlete, and my dad did a lot of cool stuff. He swam the channel in a relay, got the
Brilliant.
second best time in the world. He
Amazing.
played national water polo, really cool stuff. So they kind of brought. So him and my dad's identical twin brother. Growing up, fond
Mm,
memories of just sort of hanging out with them, talking about sport, going to football matches with them. Um, yeah, so I had it recently when I was in a race. I was in a world championships race recently, and I was in a very dark point of the race, and
mm,
it was physically really demanding. And in those moments of darkness, you try and find the light. And so one of the things that has always driven me personally when things are hard is when I was 5 in my first race, there's a point where my dad positioned himself at the right point at the right time to tell me to start running faster. Um, and so that sticks with me. because it's something that I want to do for others. I want to position myself at the right point for those people to trajectory themselves to have a better life, or be fitter, be stronger physically and mentally. So positioning for me
Yeah.
is key. Getting people at the right time
That's
is yeah.
That's amazing. That's a huge nugget.
Mm,
And I'm a definitely firm believer of that. It's positioning yourself, whether it's around the right people, whether it's you want to, you know, take a certain career path or route, or you want to start your own business. And it's about really kind of positioning yourself, even in marketing, and building your brand, and kind of, it's where do you need to be in order to
yeah.
position yourself and to kind of get you there. So that's really quite powerful what
Yeah, and I
you've
think if I wasn't in gym ownership, or
Mm.
for example, if this didn't work out for us, I think what else would I be doing? And I would be doing, yeah, in some capacity, I would be doing what I am doing, but it would be again position, like offering a support for other people to find themselves, find the best out of them in sport and fitness.
Awesome. Which brings me to my next question. If you could speak to your younger self, what would you say to them?
So if I could, um,
Speak to your younger
uh,
self.
again,
What
so
would you say to them?
I'm going to go back to a very specific point of time, because
Okay.
there was one point. So I've always been quite good at listening to my intuition throughout my younger, yeah, even from when I was like 8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and listening to like a voice in my head.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that you get voices, and whatever where those voices are coming from, I don't know. Whether it's your mind, whether it's anything above, I don't know. Um, and there's been specific points in my life where I've listened really well, and there's been specific points in my life where I haven't listened to that voice. Um, and I would go back to one specific moment, to tell me not to do something.
Okay.
Um, and my life would have been different if I'd listened. There's nothing else really that I would say other than just keep doing what you're doing, work hard. Maybe, oh yeah, try harder at school. Yeah, don't be an idiot. But I wasn't an idiot. I think I made a lot. I made friends. I wasn't a bully. I didn't get bullied, thankfully. I was always involved in sport. I did lots of things there. Maybe try harder. Just get your head down.
Amazing.
But yeah, there was one specific point where I would have said no. Yeah, yeah. So
No. Straight out
I
no.
would say, talking to myself, even now, always listen to that inner voice that's trying to take you over there, which is going to ultimately protect you, or put you in the right direction.
Awesome. Where would you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in five
Where
years?
do Well, if this so I mentioned to you earlier that me and my business partner were looking at another unit, another premise for the gym to expand. So should that go through, which I'm sure it will do in the next year or so, I'll see myself in a bigger premise, one that we would be able to make look pretty, and we would be able to diversify the gym a little bit more, have more of I'd say a health club offering, rather than just gym. There'll be, I'd like to think, treatment rooms, coffee lounge, sauna, steam. Yeah, I would love a sauna and steam room, but
I'm there already, I think. I'm
yeah,
there. I could see myself
but
imagining it. I'm
but
there
within the
already.
type,
Coffee
yeah,
shop.
the type of gym that we've got, certainly, having a bigger premise, one that we can, with a blank canvas, that we can spend some time on, revamping the product, the company, that, and how it looks, having more of a scalable business. So knowing if we ever wanted to sell it, we could have, we could do that. Not that I want to sell my business, because at the moment we've just got a load of members loving the program.
Brilliant.
Business is doing quite well. But I just want it that little bit more. Again, it would just be a bigger place with additional, more a all-rounded product offering.
Makes a lot.
Gym, physio, massage, something like a package which people need.
It's very exciting. So
I am
5 years
excited.
from now, there's a lot. I think there's a lot that's going to happen from you for sure.
I hope so. Yeah.
Without a doubt. We touched upon mindset. We touched upon nutrition. We touched upon fitness. We touched upon sort of positioning yourself. Any good reads out there? Any good books? Any good sort of tools that you can recommend to people?
That is a very good question. So, all right, I'm currently what I'm reading at the moment is a manual from functional movement screening. So might not be hugely relevant to a lot of people, but so if people did want to dive into understanding movement, so then finding the functional move FMS, it's called functional movement screening manual, is a great manual to understand the importance of movement in the body. That's one thing I'm reading at the moment. You've got to really be interested in movement to want to listen to that. I listen to a podcast at the moment, so I'm not reading any books, but I do listen to a podcast from a chap called Ben Bergeron. He's a fitness coach in America, done a lot of work with elite athletes in the CrossFit domain. And he's got a podcast called Chasing Excellence, which is really, I'd say, a nice palatable podcast. Talks a lot about life, talks a lot about nutrition, building healthy habits, talks a lot about training, whether it's training for your first 5K, whether it's training for an Ironman, whether it's training for your first CrossFit competition, whether it's building strength. Also, another good person to listen to has been quite a huge influence to my development as a coach, but also life perspective, is a guy called Dan John with his podcast Wondering Weights. He's like the father of the strength and conditioning world, a very knowledgeable chap. And the way he talks in his podcast is just, again, easy to listen to. And he's really responsive on email. You send him an email, you've listened to his podcast, he'll email you back. He does things called shark bites, which me and my business partner use all the time. Any given task that can be done there and then, we do. So I've learned that from Dan John.
Nice.
So I'll get an email back from him sometimes straight away. And he's a world-known strength and conditioning coach, and yet he engages with people that engage. It's great. Dan John, Ben Bergeron, Chasing Excellence, and a guy called Marcus Philly, again, an American fitness coach, influencer. He's got some really cool podcasts that I'm listening to at the moment. From an entry-level perspective, anyone wanting to learn about how to incorporate better eating, his podcasts are brilliant. So I'm actually listening to them quite a lot at the moment through our so part of our 30-day nutrition challenge. We have a podcast for people to listen to within that, and just to, again, get a perspective on what it is they're trying to do, because nutrition's not easy. I mean, gone are the day where you're going to get given a food plan. Like, you're not going to learn anything from a food plan. So we take the angle of getting people to think about their life and how they can start making little changes pulling out sugar, adding more vegetables, and the benefits of doing that, eating more protein, building your meal around protein. So all these sort of podcasts, Marcus really in particular, he's very much centered around like all that sort of stuff. So it's good listens. But yeah, I
Nice.
spend most of my time podcasting rather than actual reading.
Reading a book.
Those are the three guys I listen to at the moment.
Awesome. Some really good nuggets there. My next question to you would, if you had superpowers, what would those superpowers be? Or if you could be a superhero, who would that be and why?
Okay, so either Batman or Superman.
Okay. And why would that be?
Because sometimes I feel like I put my cape on,
Okay.
and I've got to be that person, but also know when to switch off. And so I'm actually in my downtime at the moment.
Mm.
I listen to either the Man of Steel soundtrack or Batman, um, the Batman soundtrack.
Oh,
But
nice.
it's like an ambient, chilled version of them. Um, so it puts me into a state of recovery, relaxation, and charging the batteries to be that superpower I need to be. So essentially, it does turn me into Batman a little bit, listening to those soundtracks, because I'll be at home, I'll be relaxing, and I'll be listening to those, or I'll be driving. I don't want any other noise going
Yeah.
on. Sometimes I don't want to listen to a podcast. I just want soothing movements that's going to recharge me to be that Batman and face the baddies or the bad eating habits.
Nice. It's like an
Yeah,
alter your kind of persona,
yeah,
separate to Mark, like your alter ego type of thing. That's what you become when you're called or when need be, right? You kind of put yourself in
yeah.
that kind of Batman energy, the whole kind of cape and so on, and you're ready and raring to go.
I find that the fact that I'm still in like competitive fitness competitions, that helps with that as well. And it helps in when I'm training people, because they'll if anyone sees how I compete, they'll see a switch. They'll see Mark,
Mm,
and they'll see a different
Batman.
version of me. Yeah. Yeah, a few people have said to me before, there was a change that I've not seen from you before.
Oh
So I've
wow.
had that before. It is a switch just to turn when things like, I was saying to you earlier about when times are hard, you think about
Yeah.
when you're in those darkest moments, you think about the legacy, and you think about what am I actually doing this for? And that's when you see a switch, you
Yeah.
become Batman or Superman, and you turn it on. That's the same. So I relate that to when I coach. So if I've had a
Mm,
particularly busy week, and then I've got that 6 a.m. class that's full, I'm tired, I've got to find that switch, and I've got to be able to put the cape on and show value to my customers, get the best out of them.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Makes me smile because yeah, I think that value and just kind of how you show up and the energy that you bring, and
Mm.
it's really great. Just last, does visualization play a part in that? Do you
Oh God. So
visualize?
I'm huge. So if you follow my Instagram account, you'll see that I'm visualizing a holiday at the moment. So I just keep posting about hot trips to the Maldives, hoping someone's going to say, "Hey, I need a PT for a holiday. Would you like to come? All expenses paid."
To the
Um,
Maldives.
yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? I would love to go for a beach holiday right now. That's one of my sort of life goals in the next, certainly in the next year, to have at least a week away on just a beach. That's
Just
it.
a beach, right?
Um, but that's me visualizing it. That's me telling myself it's going to happen. And I believe, yes, I do believe in that. Me having the opportunity to go into gym ownership was done through telling people that's what I wanted to do, and then people telling me, "God, I could see you running a gym one day." And so I kept talking about it.
Right.
I'm a firm believer of, he who says he can, he says he can't are both usually right. You know, yeah, so visualize it. I visualize sort of certain things, and generally they actually happened in relationships as well. I've been in relationships before where I've gone, I'd like to be with that person, and you put the energy in subconsciously sometimes, don't you, to be around that person more, or and it happens, and you're like, oh, how did this happen? This, oh wow, we're in love, or whatever, and it's like, well, actually, you put all in the groundwork because you visualized it, and you put that's why, again, firm believer of says, oh, I've had it before where people have come in and said, oh, I can't do this, or oh, I'm not very good. I'm like, change your language.
The
This is a
language is
neg-free
important, right?
zone. Yeah, only talk positive. Yeah, it's cliche, but it's true.
It's very, very true.
Mm.
Where you mentioned, like, sorry, you mentioned Instagram. I know you're on LinkedIn. Where can people connect with you, find out more about the gym and so on?
Yeah, so I've got a personal account. I don't mind sharing that, and the business one as well. So my personal one is Hassell, HASSELL _official. I'm official Hassell. Um, and our business page is base BASE method UK.
Awesome. Brilliant, brilliant. Last few questions. If you had to ask the audience a question, what would that be?
Oh, have you found this podcast useful? That would be one of the questions. Yes. Okay. If yes, then why is it being useful? Give Gemma some feedback. That
Brilliant.
would be, yeah. Are you satisfied? So I want a fitness related question. Are you satisfied with yourself, your life? If yes, great. Continue what you're doing. If no, why are you not satisfied? That's a very open-ended sort of question, but I
Good
think,
question, though.
yeah, why are you not satisfied? What do you need to change? What would, is it your mind?
No, that
That's as,
they're awesome. They're awesome. Do you have
yeah,
any
yeah.
final, just lastly, my last question to you would be any final words off of what
No,
we
I've really enjoyed being on this podcast, this interview with you. It's been great. You made me think a lot on my feet, a lot. I mean, I did have some questions, but like I said, I thought, no, I'm going to talk what's on my head, what I feel. And no, it's been a pleasure, and I hope it can help at least one person start thinking about what they're doing. If it can, great. If it can't, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's do it again.
Amazing. No,
But yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I'll hold you to that. I think no, I think it's amazing what you're doing, Mark. I've loved, watching your journey, and I'm very excited about never mind the next 5 years, the next year or so,
yeah.
because you're just, your whole shift, your mindset, your lifestyle, everything. I mean, you're definitely someone that I look up to as an individual,
Thank you.
and it's just incredible. I'm very excited, and thank you for giving us your time today
No
on.
worries. Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.